Hey you guys, doing this a little different. This video is kind of going to be broke up and sectioned together because actually it happened over multiple weekends due to products not getting here in time. This is the soundproofing video for my 2003 Honda Civic EX Coupe EM2. Let's talk about the soundproofing. I'm going to start out with some of the stuff that I used because I wasn't really clear. I kind of went quickly through it when I was doing it. Number one, all the plastic panels that I pulled out of the car. Here's an example. I haven't installed these yet, so I could show y'all. I did go over it with the door. Every single one of the plastic panels, I'll actually throw some pictures of the other panels in. This is speaker box carpet, literally normal speaker box carpet that you see on subwoofer boxes. You can buy it in bulk like on Amazon and rolls to do projects with, but it's great for gluing on the back of plastic. I use this 3M Super 90. I've always used the Super 90 after talking to a upholstery shop. They recommended that for headliners, so I've just used it for everything because I can trust that it'll stay in place. And basically you spray it on the plastic and you spray it on whatever material, be it in this case the speaker box carpet, or if you're doing upholstery in the car, headliner, you'd spray the headliner material, you let the two surfaces tack up, and then you put them together and they glue together instantly. If you were doing vinyl overlay on a plastic panel, use it for all the things like that. So I've used it in many applications, but it works great for this, for soundproofing, because this stuff isn't, you can pick up the panel by the fabric. It's on there. It's on there good. So these are the rear C-pillars for the car, but I did this with all the plastic panels in there, the center console, the doors, the quarter panel, plastic panels inside. Anything that's plastic, it's going to vibrate just like metal will. So that is how I soundproof that. That works great. I've been doing it for years, and it definitely makes a difference. You can also get glue-on felt, has adhesive on it already. It's expensive though. You can do stuff like that on little pieces. You can do it around, these little plastic clips. If you've got some that are loose, you can stick it in the hole and then stick those in, and then they'll really stick tight, sometimes too tight. I neglected to go over that in the video, so I'm doing it now as an overview in the beginning just to show you. Moving on. Okay, products I used. Obviously I'll go over it in the video, but at least so you'll know. I would recommend the Amazon Basics. This is what I actually purchased. I do the whole car in it. I didn't, for reasons I'll go over in the video. That's what I'm going to do the Saturn in. I'm going to use all Amazon Basics outside of potentially, a few odds and ends here and there. But definitely very pleased with it. Worked great. Can't say enough about it. I've driven the car now at the filming of this portion of the video for a few weeks now. And I mean, night and day difference with the way the car... I don't hear the exhaust hardly in the car, and you don't hear the music outside of the car. So yeah, I had originally started with the Kilmat because that's what I had. That's what everybody had recommended. Amazon Basics wasn't like a thing then, or people just hadn't used it. I don't know, but the Kilmat was highly regarded, so that is what I purchased. Both the Amazon Basics and it are the 80 mil. I had done that in the Del Sol and was pleased with it, but I definitely didn't notice what I noticed in this car. I did go next level with this car, which I didn't go quite as aggressively in the Del Sol. But the Kilmat is what I started with, and that's what I used in the rear quarters. Worked great. Amazon Basics was on the floor in one of the doors. The Kilmat was in the other door, and I couldn't tell the difference between the two just by hearing as you tap on the metal. I just liked the feel of the Amazon Basics. It wasn't as tarry. There's no smell. Granted, the Kilmat didn't really smell either. but the Amazon Basics just felt more dense, and there was a gentleman who weighed them and said that the Amazon Basics weighed more, so it should be more dense. I also used the 80 mil Siless. It was supposed to be on par with the Kilmat. In fact, some people speculated it was the same stuff. Definitely not. The Siless was very tarry and almost runny. Now maybe it was because it was 90 degrees that day and the sun was coming in the garage and the stuff just turned into a big tarry mess. But I mean, I installed the Kilmat in the heat too, and I did not get that same impression from the Kilmat. So the Siless, I'm happy because it was black and it worked great for my trunk because I wanted black in the trunk. But again, I'll go over that in the video. But would I buy it again? Probably not, unless I wanted something that was super, super moldable, that I was never going to touch with my body again or have anything touch it, because as soon as it gets warm, it sticks to everything. All my clothes, where I was sitting in the trunk to do things, at every seam, it just gooed out. Or if I sat down and then twisted my body instead of standing up and getting back down, it would literally tear it and then get it on my work pants. So not impressed. And I do believe, even though it says 80 mil, it felt a lot thinner, and I definitely am picking up a smell from that stuff in the car. Not horrible, but there's definitely that smell. That tar smell is definitely there. Does it work? Yes. Is it messy? Yes. I'd stick with the Amazon Basics or the Kilmat. As far as what I topped these three with, I used this Agg Sound. It's closed cell foam, and it was 157 millimeter, and the container I got of it was the 55 square foot. This is them. There wasn't a tag like these guys, so I wrote down the details, but this is them. It was impressive for what it was. It's not like the top of the line stuff. I'm sure it's a knockoff of somebody's, but it was very easy to work with and worked very well, and when it sticks, it sticks. So I'm happy. I like it. I'll buy it again for the Saturn. I show them in the video when I'm working with them. I also used, when I ran out, because the car really needed more, this Frost King Duct insulation. This is also the closed cell foam. Similar product. It doesn't stick as well, but I mean, it's not designed to. It's a different product for a different use, but it will work in a pinch. I just found that overall, the amount I'd have to get of it to equal the AggSound came out a little bit cheaper, so that's what I go with. And then my rollers, this is the pack that I got back in the day. This was the company, and that was the information. I mean, they're all made in China, so it's neither here nor there, but they work great. The 3-pack with the different sizes, wonderful, because depending upon what you're working on, you use all 3 sizes. So those are the products for all that. To redo the Civic again, I'd say I'd get 3 boxes of the Amazon Basics, roughly $50 a piece, and a box and a half of this stuff, or a box and then supplement it with something like this in areas you don't need it as thick. One thing I would recommend with the AggSound is, and I may cover this later in the video, I don't know, don't put it on the frame rails or around where this part, the sill panels go, because they need to squeeze pretty tight, a lot tighter than I thought, and I literally had to tear it out of these areas and tear it off the frame rails. So just don't even put it on this or across under the seats. It just makes everything a little too tight. But on the floor, it's fine. Besides that, everything was fine. I'll try and put links and everything in the description. On to the soundproofing. All right, checking back in with the Civic. I finally got it all clean. Degreased the floors and scrubbed them with my scrub brush. I pulled this out so I could get up under this rubber, like so, and vacuum and clean. I'll also put some sound deadener under there here, which corresponds to that stud. It's got a 10 millimeter nut on it, and this fastener, as you can see, is, and it goes on that little stud. So went through, vacuumed, degreased my cleaner of choice, the Extreme Power, but all cleaned up. This didn't have anything special holding it down, but cleaned up under there as well. Again, I'll run some sound deadening mat up in there. Those rags that are camouflaged in with my brick, those nasty things. Yeah, that was what came out of the floor. Isn't that lovely? That was all the soda stains and everything else. You can see it stained a lot of these internal components. I got after them with a toothbrush, got the bulk of the ick out. All that was black with soda and sticky, nasty grossness. Time to get going with the soundproofing. Okay, if you haven't soundproofed before, the basics of it. Get yourself a sheet, and basically you're laying it down using your roller. I have rollers of different sizes. I got a kit of them. This is like a tarry butyl rubber substance. As for the Amazon, it seems denser than the Kilmat that I used before in these other areas. The smell of it doesn't smell bad. A lot of people complain about the cheaper stuff smelling like tar. This stuff, not bad at all. I'm not picking up a smell. So usually I just start with the flats, and you'll end up with bits that you'll fill in along the contours as you go. But essentially, this is what we're going to do to the floor, anywhere and everywhere. Now it's 90 degrees today, thereabouts. With the humidity, God only knows. But I don't need to heat this stuff with a heater. If you're doing it in the winter time or in a colder climate, you definitely want to heat it to get around these contours. But you see, it's pretty dang flexible in my current climate. And if you run into a point where it won't push down, you know, you take a cutter and you'll slice it, and that'll help you fit it down. And yeah, I could have ripped all this up. I just a little lazy, trying to hurry. I'll probably rip it up on the rest. I just wasn't thinking. So you can get into little places like this, get up and around. Not rocket science, but tedious. And you'll get a feel for which ones work better in which areas. Pull the fuzzies up, but when I layer another piece on there, it'll hold it down. Alright, I figured I'd give you an overview as to how and what I'm doing. See, I've already done the seat areas back there. And yes, it's varying products because I ran out of the Kilmat. So I used some older stuff that I had laying around. See, the Kilmat is in there. It's up inside, all up in the doors, and I pulled these spare pillow packs, whatever you want to call them, from my other one, the LX But you can see I put the sheets all up inside as far as I could reach here, and I'll go into the trunk and work my way back this way. But when I went to replace the Kilmat, I didn't anticipate how much area, so you can see it over there too, all up inside, how much area there was to put it. I didn't account for all this area. I just accounted for the floors and everything else. And also it went in the doors, inside the cavity. Not only did I put it on the facing of the door, but inside, back on these walls. It's actually the skin of your car on the outside. So I used a lot more than I anticipated. So went to replace the Kilmat, and it had gone up significantly in price, but everybody was raving about the Amazon Basics being almost better because it's heavier per sheet, the weight on these. I'm giving this a shot, so we'll see how it does. I'll check back in when I get the floor done and start moving on to the next layer. Just thought I'd check in with you guys as I was working, just to show you what soundproofing does. It does, I mean, we call it soundproofing, it's more vibration dampening, but this is the cross rail here under the seats on the driver's side. So you hear that tinny sound coming from here, that the higher vibration in here, or that's why it's done. You know, some of us crazy folks who spend hours upon hours doing this, why we do it and what benefit it shows, because a lot of the videos that people do of the before and after with the little handheld sound meters, they're not as dramatic as what your ears pick up. And I think it's the change in pitch and vibration that not only your body notices, but your ears notice, because sound is vibration based. So if you change the harmonics of those vibrations, you're going to have a different experience when you're in the vehicle. Just a quick thought on that. How true it is, I don't know, but that's, you know, just kind of my thinking on it. I've got the bulk of the floor done. I burned through that one Amazon Basics box really fast. I'm a little short here. I've got to do more, but I figured that's an easier spot to do. I can still put the carpet in, but I've got all up in here. I ran all the way up under there, up to about yay. And across. I've got these little sections done for when the sill panel goes on. There's a few little odds and ends that aren't done that I'm going to use scrap pieces for, but for the most part, that's what all this is all I just filled it in with scrap. It wasn't like a, oh my goodness, I have to do it type thing. It was all just scrap. So rolled everything down really well, and again up here I went up to about that mark. It's as far as I could peel that up. Basically, you see where the sheet is here. This is a full length this way, so this sheet went all the way up as one solid sheet. So that'll basically give you an idea how far up I went. Then let me pivot to the door, because my second box of Amazon Basics hadn't arrived yet, but I wanted to go ahead and see if I couldn't get the car ready, so worst case I can get the door in. I want to try and get the car together as much as possible. So the remaining sheets that I had left, I should have pivoted sooner, but anyway, I've got them down in the door here. You can see got it pushed as far forward as I can get. It was a booger to roll. Same for in there. And then I got it there. You can kind of see it's up on this edge here that goes up. and then down in there. And what I found was we've got this bar that runs here and there. So it divides the door into 3 sections. If you cut the sheet to fit within those bars, you end up with these 2 leftover pieces, the one on top and the one on bottom, and it works perfect for that lower third to run them together, as well as the little short one works well. So you can stick it on the sill. So that's how I did the other door. There you can kind of see rotating up. There. You'll probably got a better view than what I got, because I can't get my head in the door. You can see this is the trimmering I got off Amazon for the car to convert it to run a regular speaker. But I did want to show y'all how I did the internal part of the door. As soon as that Amazon Basics box gets here, it's supposed to be here tonight, I can finish the rest of the door. Worst case, I do have the Siless. I got it because it's black. When I got my deck lid from the junkyard, because remember mine had hail damage, somebody had already done that with the Tsunami, but it's kind of an eyesore being silver like that when you open the trunk. So I intentionally opted for the Siless so that I could cover this and make it at least black. So that was the plan there. So I'll predominantly use the Siless in the trunk. So worst case, if the Amazon Basics isn't going to make it in time for me to go back to work on Tuesday, I'll fill it in with the Siless and save the Amazon Basics for the View. Granted, I'm going to need more, just considering one whole box. That's what we're looking at. Just a floor pan ate that whole box of Amazon Basics. So we're looking at $50 here, folks. You know, you can't deny that it makes a difference. And of course, you know, the Kilmat back in here. And I did run some of the Amazon Basics into this hole where this little pillow pad was. And like I said, I've got the pillow pads in there, one from the other car. And then there's the, right there is the spare one that came out of the other car as well. Packed another one into that corner. So, trying to do my best to get it as soundproofed as possible. Sorry, I saw a little piece that was sticking up right there. I will be adding an additional layer of closed cell foam to the floor. This stuff here, it's 4mm foam for sound deadening. In the past, I used this Frost King. It's got about the same density. It's duct insulation. Come to find out, that was less expensive, and I knew I wasn't going to have enough, so I just opted to get this while I was at it to try it out. So it'll go on the floorboard here, and whatever's left of the other, you know, will go to the Saturn. I'll probably put a little under the seat. I don't know how much to put in the trunk, maybe up on the sidewalls. I don't want to make the trunk too poofy. Although that seems pretty dense, so I may be good with it. I also got some this stuff that they used to put on the old school carpeting. It's this shredded natural cotton duct insulation. I put it on the floorboard of the Del Sol, but there's a lot of that white foam on the back of that carpet. So I'm thinking I'm going to not put that insulation down because I think it's going to get a little too thick. And I'll have installation problems. So maybe back here, you know, to muffle the sound from the muffler, maybe along this wall here, maybe a little in the back floorboard. I don't know. I'll experiment with it, but probably not going to put much under the seats outside of that dense closed cell foam, just again for carpet fitment. And I did not put any of that in the door because my concern is if by any chance that adhesive fails, it'll cause a binding in the window, and I do not want to do that. So I'm not putting any of it in the doors. Some people do. I don't know that I trust it well enough. I may put some in here yet. It's just hard with that stupid foam block, and those pull pins do not want to come out without damaging the styrofoam. But I may stick a little bit in strategic locations back there. And then, of course, I still got to soundproof all this all this stuff here. I've got the plastic, under the plastic already done. This portion up in here, I need to do this underside to some extent. So, yeah, it takes a little bit of time. I'm putting some of this closed cell foam down. Let's see. It's got adhesive on the back, so you just want to gently do your peeling and sticking. Doesn't seem to add too much thickness, so yeah, I think it'll definitely be good putting this under the carpet everywhere. So, but yeah, I'm just going to kind of work it with my hands. I'm not going to go all crazy with the rollers. It's got little air bubbles, so as you apply it, don't quite do it like I did. Go a little at a time so you don't get all the air bubbles. This is going to be more like vinyl in that regard. It doesn't breathe since it is the closed cell foam. Yeah, and I can just use scraps on the edges there. Yeah, so that kind of gives you an idea how that goes down. So I'm going to do all that to the floor while I wait for more of the Amazon basics to show up. Of course, it's going to be fun going around all the little itsy bitsy pieces. I'm going to go under the wiring harness. I need to see if I can source more of those guys, because of course I'm having to peel them all up. Many hours later, I've got this closed cell foam installed. It's as good as it's going to get for now. Did the back seat area, at least where the seat goes. Did a little bit on the where you can see on the face, but I did do this entire area inside of that, as well as inside of that. It's just black. I mean, no reason to attempt to video pure blackness. You wouldn't be able to see it anyway. Pretty wiped, and I've made quite the mess. Look at this. Paper shards everywhere. Oh, I guess I'll clean that up first. So here's this side too. Get out of the sun. There you go. You know, you'd think this wouldn't wear a person out, but goodness gracious, it does. But that is a pleasant difference. As well as you hear how it gets deeper and deeper as I go along, because all this has been done. Now I got to do that. Yeah, and you're supposed to put the little tape across the seams. I'm not worried about it. I'm not trying to make this harder than it needs to be. It's staying stuck. Now I will, when I get the rest of the Amazon basics in, I got to finish this part up right there and then layer that. Saw that big old box? That's all that's left. I have a feeling I'm going to be doing the trunk and what I've got there, just so that I can finish it out this weekend. Alright, just wanted to update you guys. That's where we are right now.